Recently, I was in Columbus, Ohio for the Universal Light Expo. I was a guest speaker there, and I met so many gifted healers and teachers. I was truly inspired by all of the amazing work happening across this country. But I also noticed that there is an underlying theme happening. Many light workers are struggling. They're financially strapped and emotionally drained. I heard story after story of how they had pursued their heartfelt dreams only to end up in debt and despair. So understandably, their faith is wavering. Personally, I resonate with their stories. My own dreams haven't quite played out as I had planned. Ever since two higher dimensional beings visited me in 2008, I assumed that my own destiny was going to miraculously fall into place. During their visit, in the middle of the night, I felt called to serve on a grander scale. They spoke to me telepathically about Lights On, my books, and my speaking. And it appeared based on their messages and their visions that all my hard work was destined to be a success. I saw visions while they were speaking to me, and in one vision I was standing on stage and I was speaking to a very large audience. And then in another vision I was walking a conference along a hallway in a conference, and people were carrying Lights On paraphernalia. And then I saw parties and I saw celebrations, and all these future events were so overwhelmingly joyful I couldn't wait to participate. But I was ill-prepared for the amount of faith, dedication, and perseverance that would be required from that point forward. The path I've traveled ever since has been anything but easy. With each step, I've encountered numerous obstacles and painful disappointments. Years of repetitive no's, financial woes, and judgmental blows have threatened the belief I had in myself, as well as my faith in the higher good. On many occasions, these doubts and fears threaten to derail my deepest dreams and hopes. Out of all the wisdom gained on my perilous journey, however, I think that the most profound insights that I've had have been about faith. Faith is the hardest test for all of us in the school of life. And just when we pass one level, another harder level seems to appear. We're constantly being tested in more and more advanced ways. And in particular, those of us who are on the forefront of birthing new consciousness into this world, which includes everyone in this room, are being tested in ways that we never imagined possible. And that's because we are the spiritual warriors. And because we are the way showers, the lessons are coming fast and furious. And as the energies continue to intensify, it's those of us who are the healers and the teachers who are facing the most rigorous tests, because we're on the fast track to learning what we need to know in order to be of service to others. How can we help others survive their tests of faith if we've never experienced our own? The lessons, they are hard, and they're tailor-made to impact us where it matters most, the heart. For each individual, the scenario is different, but in all cases, it's as if our worst nightmares are coming true. So in truth, these tests of faith are our initiations. Does anyone know what an initiation is? And just someone, take a guess. Tell me what the definition of an initiation is.
A beginning.
That's a good one. Some might say a rite of passage, right? The definition on dictionary.com, don't you love that we can say that now? Is an extremely trying experience, an encounter which tests one to the utmost. In indigenous cultures, initiations are performed with powerful purpose and intent. At critical junctures in an individual's life, the member of the tribe is isolated and put through extreme tests. And in these organized ordeals, which you may have heard about, Some are called like walkabouts or scarring rituals. They often include brushes with death, along with intense emotions such as pain and fear. When the individual returns home, he's celebrated and he's welcomed back as a valued member of the tribe. And the initiate doesn't return home the same person. Expectations shift, responsibilities change, and a new life as a shaman and a sage begins. So perhaps the same is true for us. If we can endure our test of faith, our initiations, then we too might have the opportunity to claim our rightful place as the wisdom keepers in today's society. But how do you move through an initiation with intent and purpose? And what advice could someone give you as you encounter your own challenging tests of faith? Based on my own experience, I've developed 5 simple guidelines, and to keep it easy to remember, they're an acronym for faith. So let's start with F, which is find your inner strength. It's only when you take risks and move beyond your comfort zone that you develop confidence and find strength. Personal growth occurs by facing obstacles. As you overcome adversity, you develop perseverance and persistence. You gain wisdom and maturity, and you learn how to face challenges head on. Life is not a constant series of high fives and victory dances. It is a rigorous challenge of endurance and resilience. Painful disappointments, they're inevitable. There are unpredictable twists and turns. After working with individual clients for over 10 years, I've noticed that so many of us timidly ask, what happens if I fall? But the most important question to ask yourself is not, will I fall? The question to ask yourself is, will I rise again? A is for avoid building expectations. In the Bible, in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 to 6, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. So avoid jumping to conclusions and resist scheduling time frames. In my book, A Playdate with Destiny, I call these tendencies bursting at the seams and disappointments. Bursting at the seams happens when anticipation and excitement can make you feel assured that your outcome is inevitable. You may even begin bursting with joy based on how things seem to be. But then, if the situation unfolds differently, you feel crushed. You might even feel teased or abandoned by God. But understand that the universe doesn't play cruel jokes. Only your ego is fooling you by making false assumptions. Disappointments, on the other hand, happens when you schedule a time frame for your desired results. Have you ever been dissed by a romantic crush? Perhaps you scheduled a date and he or she never showed up. The disappointment can be excruciating and your heart can feel as if it's physically breaking. The same happens when you schedule results. You believe that there's no logical reasons why your deadlines will be missed, and you assume that your time frames look logical. But when the results don't occur on your time, you feel defeated. But we don't control the timing. The universe does. That's divine timing. I is for increase your awareness. Existing in a desolate land of unmet expectations, dashed hopes, and crushed dreams, it's easy to feel let down. You might become disillusioned. But did you know that the word disillusionment is a synonym for enlightenment? So as you become disillusioned, you become freed from illusions. And an illusion, all that is a false or misleading impression of reality. So ask yourself, is there some way that my illusion was creating a limitation? Or, here's even a better question to ask, Are there future outcomes that could be perhaps more powerful or perhaps better for the higher good than I was imagining? Who does tarot? Then you know that much can be learned from the hangman, right? See how he's hanging upside down from this tree branch? Does he look like he's resisting or struggling in his situation?
He looks like he's just going with the flow.
Exactly. He's accepting his situation by letting go and gaining clarity. And here's another interesting point. Because he's upside down, he's discovering different points of view. So he's gaining mystical insights and fresh perspectives. You can do the same. You can use your test of faith as an opportunity to gain valuable insights and unique perspectives that perhaps no one else has. T is for transmute your fears. Interestingly, there are certain tribes that have ceremonious initiations where a particular tribe member will volunteer to take a snake bite. The idea is whether you physically die or not, you're experiencing a death and rebirth. If you physically die, then you're reborn into the afterlife. If you don't physically die, it's because you've successfully transmuted the poisonous venom. This makes you a stronger person. So perhaps your test of faith, your initiation, is challenging you and teaching you how to transmute lethal poisons. Transmute means to change something from one level into a higher form. So it's a process of transforming something common into something special. So when you identify your fears, your beliefs, and your doubts that are killing your spirit, and you transmute them on all levels, including emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, you become capable of accomplishing what's impossible to most. And finally, H is for have hope. But let's talk about hope for a minute, because it's important to understand whether you're precariously perched on false hope or are firmly grounded in true hope. False hope is based on specific outcomes and certain expectations. True hope, however, is based on the belief that even with the trials and tribulations, all things work toward good. So with true hope, your faith doesn't waver. Even if your worst nightmare is coming true, true hope remains constant. You've probably heard the saying, the universe is perfect. Has anyone heard that saying? If this is true, if the universe is perfect, then maybe, just maybe, there was no other way for your situation to unfold. Because perhaps the universe conspires to give you precisely what you need for your soul's growth. Even if you aren't where you hoped to be, maybe you're exactly where you need to be. For all those light workers in Ohio that I met last month, as well as myself, the outcome is still unknown. But I do know that for all of us, this is not yet the end of the story. And I also know that ultimately, it really doesn't matter whether we triumph or not. What does matter is that we are becoming more compassionate, stronger, wiser, more loving, and more human. In closing, it's not about how fast we accomplish our dreams, but how deeply we nurture them. Living in the desert here, most of us are familiar with cactus, right? But did you know that the saguaro actually only grows an inch to an inch and a half in the first 8 years of life? These tiny young saguaro are hard to find because they grow under the protection of a nurse tree. So as the saguaro grows, the nurse tree dies off. It takes 35 years for a saguaro to blossom, 50 to 75 for branches to develop. The average saguaro lives 150 to 175 years. Some live to be over 200 years. So perhaps it's all of us who are nurturing these precious swirl seeds. We might not live to see them grow and blossom, but God will, and so will future generations. And because of what we've planted, this world will one day be brilliantly beautiful. Thank you.